Any second? Yeah. So the objective of this webinar for Recruit Online and AI is to, probably over the next 30 minutes, cover some of the background on AI and current trends, and also the predicted impacts, not just on recruitment, but on other industries as well, and take the opportunity to demonstrate some of the existing functionality that we've developed with RecruitChatBot, and how these AI in general can present obviously a threat in some respects, but also opportunities for people in recruitment particularly. Obviously we are embracing AI. We're exceptionally excited and to be part of that and see that as a massive game changer for the recruitment industry. I'll take the opportunity to also introduce my co-host Samantha, who's our customer success manager, and Chris, who is our sales director. And I'll be handing over to Sam shortly, and she'll take us through most of the presentation on the background and that sort of thing. Also on the call are Alex and Maria. Alex is in Australia as a BDM here, and Maria in New Zealand. And in terms of questions, by all means, if you have questions as we go along, potentially we would have addressed some of them as we go. But any questions, just put them into the chat, and as we go along, we'll keep aware of them, and then probably have about a 5-minute section at the end of this just to address some of those questions that have come up. And yeah, so I'll, no further ado, hand over to you, Sam.
Okay, thank you, Declan. Welcome everybody. I recognise a lot of your names. If you've put in a support ticket, you'd know me. I'm the non-AI person, usually responding to your support issues. So today, as Declan said, we're just going to give an introduction to what AI is, what AI is doing, and what AI is expected to do in the future. So to start off with, I just wanted to give a basic definition of what AI is. And in this context, it's basically artificial intelligence is a series of techniques and algorithms that are creating intelligent machines that can mimic or even surpass human cognitive ability. It's a great definition, but it's quite boring. So I thought, to get a better definition of what AI is, I'll ask AI to give me a definition of itself. So I used Google Gemini, and I just put in the prompt. Here we go. Computer, do thinky thinky. And it responded. And it said, haha, I like your spirit. While I wouldn't say I thinky thinky in the same way a human does, I can perform some pretty impressive tricks that make it seem like I am. I can analyze American spelling, I won't hold that against it, information based on massive amounts of data, and use complex algorithms to problem solve, make decisions, and learn. Think of me as a superpowered calculator that's constantly learning and evolving. I can process information quickly and efficiently, but I don't have the same deep understanding of the world as a human. So while I can't claim to be a true thinky machine, I hope you'll still find my abilities helpful and fascinating. What would you like me to thinky about today? And that was Google Gemini, definition of itself. And I think that's a pretty good definition of what AI is. It's basically being able to replicate processes of human thought. So what are some of the capabilities of AI? AI can process massive amounts of data. Okay, massive amounts, it can identify patterns and relationships that humans can miss because of the speed it can process it and the vast amounts that it can actually process. So it allows AI to suggest solutions based on evidence and historical data, rather than human intuition or guesswork. Because of that large data processing capability, it's able to do a lot of problem solving as well, a lot quicker and a lot more efficiently than a human. It's able to automate tasks. So tasks that require a lot of data processing, AI can automate those tasks and do them much faster than a human is able to do. Text generation, as you just saw, I put in a prompt, it generated that answer. It's also able to produce other texts like stories, scripts. It's able to compose music. It's able to generate images. Using a model, it's able to create its own unique output. It learns and adapts. So the more input it gets, the feedback it gets from its output, The more it learns about its environment, the more complex it can give its answers, and the more it grows. And as I showed with its definition, it has creativity and generation. So music, poems, stories, all those sorts of things AI is able to generate as well. But it does have its limitations. It does have limited understanding and reasoning of the real world. It has a lack of creativity and innovation. It is able to produce music, poems, stories, because these have a set standard structure. It's able to replicate the model and produce a creative output based on that, but it lacks true creativity and innovation to come up with novel ideas. It has a lack of common sense. So if it's given a situation that might be slightly outside of its target area, it can be a bit random with what it comes up with. Because it is so dependent on the data it is given, the data that it is modeled from, if there's any biases in that data, it can lead to discriminatory outcomes, and there can be ethical considerations surrounding that. And also, it can be a little bit of a black box, meaning sometimes the solution that it gets to, or the decision that it makes, we just don't understand how it arrives at that situation. So in its own little AI mind, it thinks, yep, this is the correct answer. But sometimes it's just like, where did you get that from, Mr. Computer? So it does have limitations. It can do some incredible things, but it is not a substitute for human intelligence. Okay, so if you think AI is coming, if you think AI is going to be integrated into your job and you're thinking, oh, how am I going to prepare for this thing that's coming in the future? Mate, you're already behind. It's already here. Okay, industries are using this already. All right, so the International Monetary Fund brought out a report in January of this year, and it was how artificial intelligence is going to affect the labour market. And these are just some excerpts from the report. It said artificial intelligence is set to profoundly change the global economy, with some commentators seeing it as akin to a new industrial revolution. Now, we've seen lots of industrial revolutions over the course of the last 200 years or so. They have caused job displacement. They have caused different industries to emerge. They have caused people to have to reskill. And AI is being seen just like that. Whereas previous industrial revolutions revolved around manual labor and manual jobs becoming automated, artificial intelligence is challenging the fact that now it's the more cognitive roles, it's the higher skill roles that are at risk of potentially being replaced. This is especially evident in the context of labour markets, where AI promises to increase productivity while threatening to replace humans in some jobs and to complement them in others. In advanced economies like ours, about 60% of jobs are exposed to AI due to the prevalence of cognitive task-oriented jobs. These are things that require decision-making, looking at vast amounts of data, critical thinking, all those sorts of things. Okay. So within this report, the IMF report, they've come up with an index that will show to explain what jobs have a high exposure to artificial intelligence and how much that artificial intelligence is going to complement the human aspect of the job. So they're calling this exposure and complementarity. So the exposure to AI is a degree of overlap between the AI application and the required human ability in each occupation. So if there's a lot of data processing, if there's a lot of tasks that can be automated, things that AI can handle, that's your amount of exposure. And what is left is how much the human can do that the AI can't. And this is what they call shielding. Okay, so a particular role can be shielded from that AI exposure if the role contains a lot of human elements. That means things like emotional intelligence, rapport building, soft skills, being able to make discrete decisions, roles that are going to require human oversight. So for example, a judge, they have a lot of data to process. All of the things that a judge can do could be replaced by AI, processing data, looking for patterns, looking for trends, coming to a decision. But a judge is never going to be replaced by AI because it requires that human oversight to be able to make that decision, to be able to do that critical thinking, emotional intelligence, be able to determine the right outcome in the situation. So a judge has got a high level of shielding from the AI exposure. Okay, so the IMF have split jobs into 3 different categories. There's high exposure with high complementarity. This is where a lot of particular roles, tasks can be automated, but there's still a large component, a large human component that is needed to fulfill the job correctly. There's high exposure and low complementarity. These are the roles that you likely could end up with job displacement, needing people to reskill, or different job industries emerging, because these are the roles that are likely to be replaced by AI. And we have the low exposure jobs. These are the ones that probably won't have AI involved in them, and they're not going to be at risk from the introduction of AI into the labour market. And this is just a summary showing why the advanced economies are at such a high risk of having AI displace employment. So the dark blue is the low exposure jobs, the low exposure industries. The orange is the high exposure, low complementarity, and the red is the high exposure, high complementarity. And for the world, you can see that majority of labour markets are in the low exposure section. When you look at advanced economies, you can see that those high complementarity roles greatly increase. This one's emerging economies, and this one's low income countries. You see the UK and the USA, that section of high exposure, high complementarity is a much greater proportion in relation to the low exposure sections. So this is why up to 60% of jobs in these advanced economies are going to have an impact with artificial intelligence. Okay, so now I've given you an overview of how it's going to affect the labour market. What kind of AI is there? How is this actually going to affect different roles? So the 2 types of AI I'm going to talk about. One is generative AI. And that was what I showed you earlier with the definition. It's creating new content. I give it a prompt. It uses a model and it produces output, which is very similar to what a human would output. It learns patterns and it generates realistic outputs. It can be original. Like I said, it does have limitations with its creativity, but it will produce original output based on a model. So a poem, it knows what the structure of a poem is. It's going to use its knowledge of what a poem is to create an original poem. It knows music, it knows about intervals. It's going to create a piece of music that conforms with the structure of music, but it's going to be a creative piece. It's domain specific, so it can be targeted to a particular industry, a particular area. It can be trained and learn on that particular area, for example, the recruitment industry. And it has creative potential, so a designer can put in prompts and he can generate a model or a template or an idea which people can then work from. So it's all about generating new content based on predetermined design models. And then we've got the conversational AI. This enables interaction between the human and the machine through natural language processing. So this is speaking to a computer and it giving a natural conversational response. It uses language models to learn how human language works in a conversational way. It aims to comprehend intent and meaning. So not just giving it very explicit questions, it can interpret the same way as a human will interpret natural language. Like I asked it, computer do thinky thinky. It knew what I meant. Engages in dialogue. So it knows the conventions of conversation and it's able to engage in a conversation with a person. Can tailor responses, again, depending on the data it's modeled off. It can give tailored answers for a specific industry, for a specific situation. So AI is already being used, it's already here, it's already being used in a lot of places. News and media industry is already using it for content generation. They're using AI to generate short articles, which is allowing journalists to go out and focus on more in-depth articles and do more in-depth journalism. Marketing and advertising, it's creating advertisements, it's creating content based on the specific industry targeted to a specific client group. Entertainment and creative writing. You can write music, you can write advertisements, you can write song, all of that sort of stuff AI can generate. With marketing, it can be used for targeted advertising, it can process trends, it can predict trends that are going to happen in the future. It can segment customers so you can target specific groups for specific products, and you know exactly what you're doing and you're getting more value for your marketing. And design, it can design logos, it can give ideas for logos, it can give ideas for different designs and things like that in the design industry as well. And in each of these cases, AI is augmenting human capabilities, allowing professionals to focus on the tasks that require true creativity, strategic thinking, and emotional intelligence. So the combination of human expertise and AI leads to better outcomes, greater efficiency, increased innovation across various industries. It can lead to job displacement, which is something that we still need to consider, and it could be a consideration for your clients as well. If they're in those high exposure, low complementarity sectors, they could lead to job displacement. There could need to be reskilling and things in that area. But within your sector of the recruitment industry, it will allow those repetitive tasks to be automated, allowing you to focus on the soft skills required in the recruitment industry to build those relationships. So I'm now going to hand back over to Declan.
Cool. Thanks, Sam.
Continue.
Yeah, so from RecruitOnline's point of view, we've been investing in AI and developing what we've called RecruitChatBot for the last 18 months, almost 2 years. And as Sam was saying, it's really two aspects of it. And the first part is what is called generative AI, and that's those things such as job advert creation, candidate interview questions, those sort of things. But then the part that we put a lot more focus on is the conversational or chat aspects of it. And what we're about to show you shortly is a video that sort of covers both aspects of that, but particularly focus more on the chat side of things. So it'll start off just showing you the generative things. So Sam, I'll just pass you to, if you ask you to do that to the next slide.
This powerful tool automates all those tedious tasks, freeing you up to focus on what matters most. RecruitChatBot uses AI to streamline your recruitment process, saving you time, money, and frustration. Imagine getting more done. Use RecruitChatBot to generate job adverts, interview questions, and candidate referral letters. Increase your efficiency. Let RecruitChatBot handle initial candidate screening, automate filling bookings, and even availability and welfare check-ins. Candidate welfare check-ins are an essential part of running a successful agency. In this example, RecruitChatBot is checking to see how a candidate went in their first day in a new job. In chatting with the candidate, RecruitChatBot will try to gauge how the candidate is feeling by asking them to give a score out of 5 for how their first day went. If they give a low score, RecruitChatBot will try to find out the reason. Then, RecruitChatBot will ask if they were given an induction when they started. They'll also be asked if the job is in line with what they were told and if they feel confident about being able to do it. Additionally, RecruitChatBot will confirm that they were wearing the correct PPE and if they have any concerns about safety. Where the assignment end date is known, RecruitChatBot will also check that the candidate can still commit to the duration of the assignment. RecruitChatBot is also prepared to answer any questions that the candidate might have about the assignment. When the chat is finished, it will summarize and record the conversation against the candidate's record in RecruitOnline and notify the consultant if any issues were identified.
And so, as I was saying, we've put a lot of emphasis into the chat side of AI, and that's done, for anything from screening candidates as an initial applicant through to booking into temp jobs or casual bookings and those sort of things. And there's a lot more scope to do more in that as well. And that's where I think you'll see. So if we just go to the next slide. from an AI point of view, what our position on it is that it's a massive opportunity to get a lot more done, so that the things that an AI can't do, which is things such as understanding a candidate, if they're the right fit for a job, those sort of things, understanding a customer, all of the human aspects of recruitment. The AI can do a lot of the, I guess, lower level work and bring people together to allow then, from a recruitment perspective, for people to focus on those aspects that they have their strengths in. We'll just go to the next slide if we can. So it is something that will be an efficiency gain. So if you're, this is sort of our take on it. So AI won't necessarily take your recruitment job, but somebody using AI will. And that's not just a throwaway line, but if your job is very much focused on things that can be done, as we talked about, or Sam talked about, where it's high exposure, there's a lot of AI aspects to it, but low complementarity, it means that an AI can do it. So that's where the opportunities lie. So I think we've probably got another question to the last moment, so that we'll throw it over to questions, Chris.
Thank you. I've had a few questions actually come in via email rather than by the message, but that's fine. I've answered a couple of them were sort of straightforward questions, but two questions that are interesting, I think, were what's next for AI for Recruit Online. We've sort of launched a suite of features, but and you're probably best poised to answer that one.
I think there's a few different aspects to AI from a recruitment perspective. I certainly think the conversational aspects, where again you don't want the AI specifically making a decision. If I look at the screening chats that we have, it allows you take a scenario where, and this used to be the situation when back when we had our own recruitment agency many years ago. In a typical environment, you get let's say 100 people apply for a job. You probably, of that, best case 10 were suitable, but maybe 70 to 80 were suitable for something that we did as a recruitment agency. But you never had the time to invest and talk to those people and screen them effectively and consider them for other things. So that's where I think more of this sort of conversational aspect would be, maybe giving tools to candidates within the portals for generating their own resumes, and particularly around the data analysis, matching candidates to opportunities. I see that as a certain trend that will happen. That makes sense.
Yeah, go on. I'd add that we're keen for feedback. Like we've launched a suite of features, but we're interested in what other people think. The other question that popped up, which is always interesting, is how does AI know how to answer the question? I think for me that's partly we've got a really experienced recruitment team. So Alex and Maria, who are on the team, who are in the sales team with me, we've all worked in recruitment agencies. Maria particularly for a long time, and then Declan's run his own recruitment agency. We've got great experience within us, so we've taken that knowledge, we've taken the AI database knowledge, and then also the knowledge that that comes into the system about the job role, if it's in particular the question relates to. So it takes that information and then responds to it based on that information. Declan, is there anything else to add to that?
No, I certainly think that's and that was sort of a key part of our development, and probably because we sit in a fortunate position where our systems, so we've got Recruit Online and also Pinvoicer, allow us that whole end-to-end experience. So we can talk to a candidate about anything about the pay rate through to the OH&S requirements of the job and that sort of stuff. So it's having that information available. Now there's a question from Karen about analytics on the answer. I certainly think there's an opportunity with that. So with the way that it's structured is that when a conversation's finished, so every conversation has an intent, like take that one about the welfare check-in, how's your first day? The intent is to to see whether it was a positive outcome. Yes, it was great, everything went, there was no issues, or if there was a negative outcome. And on either case, particularly the negative one, is to flag actions back to the recruiter to take care of. So when you look at that, we summarize the actual conversation, but we also have the full data of the conversation that has happened. And so, it certainly we would have opportunity to look at, answers in screening, in welfare checks, in availability checks, those sort of things. So there's a lot of scope, and that's what, as I said, I think it's more conversational. And obviously, there's been a lot of generative things, in our industry or in marketing and media and that sort of stuff. But I think the scope is conversational in the future from AI.
I'm conscious of the time. We said that we'd run till 10:30 Queensland time, which I think we're at now. So we might wrap up. If anyone's keen in learning more, and we can run you through a proper demo of AI and tailor it a bit more to your particular business, then either myself or Maria or Alex would be very keen to chat further and run you through a demo. If you're interested, you can reach out to us either through LinkedIn or through the website, whichever's easiest, but would be keen to chat further or show other people in your business more about the features. Any other closing comments, Sam or Declan?
No, so good. Appreciate everybody taking the time this morning. So, and as I said, we recorded it, so happy to send that through to everybody. And if you have any questions, as you said, Chris, please reach out to us.
Yeah, and thanks very much for your time. Enjoy Friday. Have a nice weekend, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.